Yeah, round four of regarding inmendham. Okay, just basically this nihilism stuff. Sorry, still cannot hear properly. Damn it. Anyway, I have to get along without hearing. So yeah, let's continue. I think I'll have to reload this page, so I'll reload it. And therefore I've done something reasonable.
Relative to what goal, right? Because maybe if that's your goal to grind them up and eat.
Okay. This whole relative to a goal thing again. The whole point of doing philosophy is saying, oh, is there a truth? Not is there a story or a fantasy or a fable that individuals get to tell about what reality is. So you're saying there's no truth value to any statements that would indicate any universal or absolute truth regarding value. The universe has no elements in it that have any qualitative value intrinsically or fundamentally or absolutely. I argue that sentience is the exception to that. That rule is correct, that all the matter in the universe is meaningless except the matter that composes the sentient experience, that creates the sentient experience. That of all the things in the universe, this looks like the important one.
Them in a hamburger, then you have done something reasonable relative to that goal.
Well, again, so that goal would have no meaning as a description of a rational goal, as describing the universe in some rationally discernible value. That only makes sense if you say any fantasy is okay. Any silly description of a reasonable goal is okay. No. Reasonable goals have to be evidence pointing to them as a goal. There's no evidence that could be contrived that it would ever be a reasonable goal to destroy 10 things of equal value to yourself to merely gratify an eating disorder.
But ultimately, no act is at the bottom of things reasonable or unreasonable. Because you might value being...
There you go. Okay, I mean, that's where the disagreement is. Again, I made it as simple as I could. I said, here's the simple premises. Tell me where I've been unreasonable. You're saying it's unreasonable for me to believe that my sentient experience is a real event in the universe that is fairly described by a person experiencing it. They could fairly describe it as substantially meaningful, substantially different than all the other material things that are happening. This event of experience has a value component. You're saying it's not reasonable for me to say it has an absolute value component. And I'm saying it's, to me, unreasonable to deny the value component.
A fucking moron, right? Okay, there's no ultimate, this is a reasonable act, right? There's no such thing, right?
No, wrong. I mean, it's just wrong entirely. So again, I don't, what facts point to it being true that outcomes don't matter? That a big pile of suffering is the same as a big pile of pleasure. I don't think there's any facts that make it possible to put an equal sign between those two. Any.
It's just a denial of what we know, which is the bad will happen to them.
No, we fully acknowledge that the bad will happen to them, but we don't care.
Well, again, it's not a matter of you caring. The point is, if you acknowledge the bad is happening and you do nothing, then you have to justify when you did something when it was happening to you. Why the difference in the treatment? If the bad is the same, if we can agree that the bad is the same event, why does one thing get correction for the bad or prevention of the bad, and why does another thing not deserve that? Intellectually and logically, I don't believe you can justify it. Besides just saying something stupid like, I'm a selfish asshole. That's the way I'm made genetically. Well, yeah, so admit that that's not logical. It's not reasonable. It's not, the evidence isn't pointing in that direction. Your selfishness is pointing you in a direction.
Well, I don't care in some cases. If I really wanted to eat a hamburger and grind up 10 people and eat them, then I'd be obligated by that value that I hold.
Right, so you have a passion, and it doesn't matter how silly it is, it's entitled to satisfaction, no matter how the math indicates it is going to be a net harm to the world. That shouldn't persuade you to ought something else.
But it isn't an ultimate objective value that binds on all. You know, it's just the fact that
it doesn't bind. Again, it's not the truth. It's not a fair description of reality that wouldn't be cost effective. And I think, of course, it is a fair description of the reality. It would be a bad act.
You know, I personally want to do this, so I'm going to do it. It's not unreasonable.
Yes, it is. I mean, to commit bad acts that are unprofitable is unreasonable.
Nor is it reasonable.
Real bad will be experienced like by them.
There you go. By them. Get that through your fucking...
Yeah, no, I can. Get it through your fucking head. I have to call them a them. I call me a me. Those are correct descriptions. The problem is when you think those descriptions have real meaning as some kind of anything besides just a way of describing circumstances and people. They don't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Me does not make me special. Them does not make them unspecial.
The same bad that I would be experienced if I had to do it.
So what?
Well, again, so what? I wouldn't allow it to happen to me, so I have to explain why I allow it to happen to them. The demand is just obvious. It's bad. I wouldn't let the dioxin in my drinking water. Why am I allowing the dioxin in somebody else's drinking water? I know the harm will be just as bad if it was in my drinking water. I'm just saying, logic is the, it's just asking the simple question. Why are you not treating same?
I wouldn't do it to 10 me's. So again, we're back to the same treated same argument.
But why? Why? Why wouldn't you do it to 10 me's?
Right, exactly. And the answer is because I know from personal experience how bad it is. Right? And so I'm arguing I wouldn't do it to 10 thems either because I understand that difference. You're the one saying I don't do it for me because me is important, they're not important. Clearly, you're making a distinction. Clearly, there's some reason you're protecting you and you're not protecting them. Because somehow you think you're worth it and they're not. Where I'm making exactly the opposite argument, that the truth of the matter is there is no I'm more important. The truth of the matter is the bad is the same whether I experience or they experience, and it's always worth preventing. It always ought to be prevented with the same depth of passion, to be fair to the facts and not be told what to do by your biology, by compulsions of desire. Those should not be the indicators of correct behavior.
Because it matters to you, okay? It is a value that you hold, not to do it to 10 me's, not because of an understanding, okay?
Well, I'm just saying, of course it is because of an understanding. That's why I wouldn't do it to 10 thems. I'm the one, again, we're not talking about why I do it for me. I'm making that argument. I do it for me because I'm fully aware that it's important, that suffering is bad, and I'm going to avoid it. You're the one arguing that it's not bad and that's why you don't have to worry about them, because it's not a real bad. And so I'm asking you, the people who say it's not a real bad, why are you acting? Why are you preserving you then? Why are you protecting yourself?
Not because of a logical consistency. The understanding lets you recognize that they feel like you. Okay, fine. But that's not what drives you to say I ought to treat them the same.
Well, says you. Again, I mean, that's exactly why I became a vegetarian. So you can make up this nonsense and say people can't intellectually understand something, recognize they were doing something cost ineffective or unproductive or destructive, and stop doing it merely because they recognize, oh yeah, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't stop doing that. And they stop doing it.
Understanding informs your value investment, your passion, your desire to treat the same the same. The understanding merely tells you what the facts are, but your desires, your values, are what motivate you. And
well, again, I just say bullshit to this mush. I'm just saying that once you understand the conceptual understanding of words like fair or words like just or words like productive and destructive, once you understand the meaning of the words good and bad, there's no passion involved anymore. You're just recognizing a truth, okay, that my life will be a failure if I cause more harm than I produce comfort. And that includes not only for myself, but for the people I affect. And that's just a fact of existence. My life sucks if I leave the world suckier. Period.
tell you what you want, but reason tells you how to get there.
If I wouldn't do it to 10 me's, how can I justify doing it to 10 them's?
If it's a value that you hold, then yeah, don't do it. But there's no...
Well, again, if it's a value you hold, what's the value that you hold? That it's bad. So again, there's, you can say that that's a subjective belief, and that's just not. I'm saying, as philosophically, that's what the argument's about. You're saying anything goes, so of course that philosophy is as valid as any other bullshit. I'm saying no, that philosophy is actually correct and accurate to the facts and the evidence, and your bullshit that I'll make a rationalization saying it's okay for some other reason is nonsense. So again, I don't have to defend the rationality of that, and you're not arguing the rationality of that. So again, if you're going to argue the philosophy, I think this is your obligation now, is to explain why it's appropriate to not treat the 10 the same. If you believe they're same, then explain. You're saying it's okay to believe they're the same. It's okay to believe it's bad. So it's your obligation to explain why that is wrong, and that your theory is right.
There's no ultimate value saying that you should treat the same.
Well, again, you're saying there's no truth, and I'm saying no, you have a theory, I have a theory. I think my theory is based on evidence. I think your theory is based on inconsistent description of reality. Hypocrisy and selfishness, nothing else, emotional rubbish. You're not making a rational argument to explain why it's appropriate that you treat yourself better than you treat them. I'm saying there is no reason to treat yourself better than you treat them, and therefore I'm obligated, all right, to call myself asshole when I fail to do that. And I often fail to do that. And I'm an asshole when I fail. It's the truth. The dumb animal does win too often inside my own psychology. I fail to be as good a person as I should be. Often. But at least I'm admitting I'm a failure. I'm not pretending that's success. Because it's not.
Okay? Doesn't mean we should treat them differently either, which is what your fucking little scumbag liar fucking commenters have said.
I don't know how they're saying you should treat them differently. Do unto others, you should have others do unto you. I mean, it's really not that complicated.
Fucking idiot.
No.
Why don't you go and try and read some David Hume, right? Why not actually go and try and do...
Well, I've read enough of the fat glutton to understand he's an imbecile and an asshole. So why should I read any more? Would you have great quotes from him? Go ahead, post great paragraphs. Let's hear a great paragraph from the brilliant Hume. Did he even understand what the fuck evolution was? Fucking fat retard. I mean, really, a gluttonous elitist pig, and you're telling me I need to read gluttonous elitist pig rhetoric. No, I don't think I do.
Some of that. Okay. This John Hart guy in your comment section said Hume is all about me, right? Which is a lie, absolute lie.
Well, why don't you prove it by posting some paragraphs from the brilliant David Hume, whatever the name is, explaining how there's no real value and, ham be yummy.
So why would it repulse me unless I already had some kind of feeling invested in that?
No, you don't have to have any of that crap. So again, just keep ignoring.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't. I'm sorry, you don't. I have no love, okay, for pigs or cows or any of this shit. I hate fucking chickens. Pretty much. I know that's irrelevant. You think I like turkeys? I don't like turkeys. I just know they're sentient organisms and you don't torture them. Yeah, I've realized that's stupid, so I don't do that. No feelings necessary, asshole.
All these arguments have been made 10,000 times. I'm not a vegetarian because I got all gooey and compassionate.
Actually, you are.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not, you liar, okay? I know why I'm a vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian because I recognized it was wrong and I stopped doing it.
Okay, you might not think it, but you are, right? You
Yeah, fuck you. I am not.
value the welfare of animals.
Oh yeah, right. What does that have to do with a feeling? Absolutely nothing. I don't value it because I love them, because I want to hug them, because I want to pet them, because I want to mind meld with them, because I want to live with them, because I want to walk down fluffy, flowery lane with them. I have no fucking personal use for them whatsoever. They don't give me a single gooey motherfucking feeling. Okay, I'm just recognizing they have a fucking brain and it's manufacturing sensation, and that's fucking important. Fucking asshole.
You do, right? But here's why, right? Because the understanding told you that they felt like you. Okay? Logic tells you that they don't matter more than you or less than you. They are of equal sentient welfare importance in terms of suffering. Okay. Right, so...
Yeah, so where's the feeling in that, asshole? That sounds like a bunch of truth statements describing a circumstance. It doesn't sound like any kind of mushy bullshit feeling crap, does it? No, it doesn't. It doesn't sound like you love the animals, does it? No. I would exterminate the fucking animals, okay? I got no fucking use for them whatsoever. There wouldn't be any cows, there wouldn't be any pigs, there wouldn't be any chickens, okay? There wouldn't be any of that shit. Obviously, I don't find them useful or necessary. I just find it to be a fact that their torture is a real event in the real fucking universe, and it's motherfucking bad.
So what, right? There has to be your compassion. There has...
No, I'm sorry. Lie. Why don't you just lie some more? It has absolutely nothing to do with compassion. It has to do with, maybe you could argue, my fear. Maybe you could argue my dread. Maybe you could argue that some way that I'm understanding that, if this is allowed, it's like allowing slavery, that, well, the next round I might be born a slave. Maybe I'll be that selfish about it, right? I'm a rich slave owner and I might think, well, I'm going to die, and then consciousness will keep arising on Earth, and there's absolutely nothing that could prevent the next consciousness from being that slave guy, and he could be just like me. That he just arrives here as a slave. Would I want to arrive here as a slave? Well, the only way I can prevent people from arriving here as slaves is I have to end slavery. Duh!
To be your feelings, okay? Because all the logic in the world is not going to tell you that because they're the same in terms of sentience, sentiently the same, that therefore you should treat them as such.
Oh, bullshit. I mean, it says you. There's what fact, what piece of evidence do you have that it takes anything other than that simple recognition? This is the truth. You're violating logic. All you have to do is point out, hey, you're a hypocrite if you don't. Hey, you're a duplicitous hypocrite if you don't. And you argue for something else. If you don't admit you're a selfish fuck and you're not using reason, and that's the only excuse for why you're treating them different is because you're a selfish fuck, and it has nothing to do with being logical or rational or honest to the truth, that's no way you can fucking say this any other way. The truth points in a direction. I'm saying I see the direction where the truth points. And the truth points to the fact that, oh yeah, I'm a selfish motherfucker. And that's not good.
Because that's a different ought, right? That's a treatment. That's an ought. That's not an is. It's not.
Yeah. We're treating ourselves when every time we act. So this is just more bullshit. Okay, it's not treatment when you're affecting others any different than when you treat yourself. Okay, it's the same fucking thing. I mean, moving the dessert plate in front of yourself is the same as shoving it in front of somebody else. Okay, you can call one thing an act of intent. But it's just as much an act of intent when you fucking shove it in front of yourself.
A fact. It's something completely different.
Yeah, fuck you.
You did,
Bullshit.
whether you like it or not.
Bullshit.
Whether you can't acknowledge it or not. You are a vegetarian because you value the welfare of animals.
Yeah, I don't. Yes, I value the welfare of animals. Not based on emotion. Not based on a feeling for them. Not based on any bullshit nonsense. I feel only the sense that I have to be fair and I have some sense of integrity. Okay, so you could say I have some sense of honor to the fucking facts, and that would be dishonorable for me to know what I know, which is bones mean something, and pretend I don't know it. I know now it's harm, it's unnecessary, it's my bad construction that needs to be repaired. I'm the one being the asshole, and I clearly can correct that. And if I don't correct it, and I know I could have corrected it, well, that would make me an asshole that I can't be. So I have a feeling that inhibits me from being an asshole overtly. But frankly, that's a lot different than what you're talking about, which is some feeling for the animal. I have no feeling for the animal.
Because it has some effect on you personally. That's why you're a vegetarian.
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you, you obnoxious weasel. To tell me who I am and why I believe what I believe? Fuck you. I'm a man of principle, motherfucker. Alright? Unlike you, you fucking emotional piece of trash. Alright? I'm not some self-interested, self-obsessed motherfucker. When I see facts that point to me being an asshole, I recognize them and admit them. And that's what I've done, you jackass. Nothing more. Fuckface. You obnoxious little fucking twat. So rude. So fucking goddamn rude.
You can say, no, logically I was blah, blah, blah. No, it's in your self-interest to be interested in them.
Oh, fuck you. How is it in my self-interest? Fuck you. How? How is it in my self-interest not to eat meat? How the fuck is that true? Liar.
Not because of logic, not because of reason, but because of your own personal values, goals and priorities.
Fuck you. I mean, this is just such nonsense. Well, if you want to say goals and priorities, right, I'm saying that those are derived through reason. I've just stated that. If somebody tells me, Gary, this is the way to improve the quality of your effectiveness in life, and here's the evidence demonstrating why taking this step will improve your functionality in the world, Gary's listening. And if you have some evidence of a plan, I'm following it. It has nothing to do with any emotions or attachments. If you tell me baseball's the way to go, well, I'll invest in it if you got a logical argument. If tap dancing's the way to go, well, if you got a logical argument, I'm paying attention. Even though I might love some other thing, if you can explain how this thing is the better thing, I'm on it, I'm riding it, I'm doing it. Fact, fucker. I loved ice cream. Loved it. Never had a bad bowl of ice cream. Never. Alright? Absolutely no victory for me to lose ice cream.
Okay, I'm a vegetarian because I recognize the truth.
This is not a matter of truth, you fucking idiot, right? It has no...
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it is. It's everything about the truth. The truth, the honesty to say, I know my suffering matters, and I can logically know the suffering of other sentient beings matters. And it's just a lie for me to say, I don't think their suffering matters, and pretend I don't think mine matters, when every single time I'm tested, I'm going to act as if it does. And that would make me a duplicitous, lying, motherfucking cunt hypocrite. And that's what you fucking are, you fucking weasel, in defense of your just grotesque gluttony and selfishness. You're a fucking privileged little elitist twat. You're a disgusting piece of shit as a human being. You have no intellectual character, and you have no manly character.
Nothing to do with recognising that they're the same. It's how you should treat them, which is different from the fact that they're the same.
What? I don't even know what he said there, right? Did you hear that? I can't hear it, but I mean, it didn't even, it was drivel.
Because that's a different ought, right? That's a treatment, that's an ought. That's not an is, it's not a fact. It's something completely different. You did, whether you like it or not, whether you care to acknowledge it or not, you are a vegetarian because you value the welfare of animals, because it has some effect on you personally. That's why you're a vegetarian. You can...
Again, yeah, I'll just say that's bullshit in the sense that, I mean, I've already made this argument that you have to be, the body runs on some sort of passion rail. It has to bite onto something to do. And you can be to do motivated by good, or you can be to do motivated by bad, and that's a truth. All right. What I'm saying is, if you're locked yourself to being good and understanding the idea of productive, then there's going to be a whole set of oughts that are going to be tied to that productive rail that you've bitten into, and you're going to have to follow those. And I'm just saying that's very different than to what you're implying, as if I have some innate psychology that'll somehow be comforted by this, that this will just be the kind of thing I want to have sex with. No, it's not like that at all. And sex would be a good description, because even in sex we could understand things like, gee, I really hate the idea that I give a shit about how much a woman weighs. That biologically, physiologically, it's more stimulating and more fun if she's not fat. I hate that that's a fact. It's a shitty goddamn circumstance. I hate that that's the way I'm built. Now, how did I benefit from saying that? What's my gain in acknowledging that truth? There's no gain in it. It's just a fact.
Say, no, logically I was blah, blah, blah. No, it's in your self-interest to be interested in them. Not because of logic, not because of reason, but because of your own personal values, goals and priorities.
Well, again, he's saying I'm feeding off of it in some way, and I'm not. Recognizing, again, this is just too fundamental, right? This is such a straw man in the sense that, there's no way to argue around this, right? Because you have to say, hey, yeah, I acknowledge the fact that other people are sentient, and somehow that he's turning into, I'm horny for it. And it really isn't. It's an acknowledgement of a fact. It's nothing, you don't gain anything from acknowledging that fact.
Okay, I'm a vegetarian because I recognize the truth.
This is not a matter of truth, you fucking idiot, right? It has nothing to do with recognising that they're the same. It's how you should treat them, which is different from the fact that they're the same.
This isn't about the fact that they're the same. That's different than the... See, I just... no way I can get this.
It's not a matter of truth, you fucking idiot, right? It has nothing to do with recognising that they're the same. It's how you should treat them, which is different from the fact that they're the same.
Well, again, how you treat them is different than the fact that they're the same. No, it isn't. Your treatment comes based on your judgment. Now, if you can't understand that connection, that behavior is tied to judgment, all right, and you don't understand that, that people make a judgment. They judge, they weigh the circumstance. Can I get away with it? Will they catch me? They make lots of calculations in deciding something. In this circumstance, the calculation isn't so much about getting away with it. The calculation is what's right or what's wrong. And do I want to be on right or do I want to be on wrong?
That suffering is bad.
I mean, do I want to be a hypocrite and pretend to say suffering doesn't matter except when it's happening to me, which would be hypocrisy.
And that I'm causing it.
Bad to them, okay?
Oh, again, you know, I've already disposed of this so many times, but it's a meaningless word. Them is a meaningless label. It might as well be the N word, and we can just call it the T word. It's a disgusting diminishment, a disgusting slander against the integrity of the thems, to pretend you can them out of existence. They are me's, just like me. That's what they are. Calling them a them doesn't change the fact that they are me's, just like me.
Jesus Christ, you're so fucking stupid.
This wasn't complicated. I didn't need to think they were cute. I didn't need to think I didn't need to feel a goddamn thing.
Yes, you did.
All I needed to...
Well, you can keep saying that, yes, I did and I didn't. The only thing I felt was shame in how long it took me to admit the truth. But admitting a truth was all I did. Fucker.
do was look at the bones and say, what does that really add up to?
This part was recorded later that night. Oh, how fascinating.
Yeah, you can do that neutral, emotionless calculation, right? But you still won't get an ought.
Well, whatever. I think philosophically you will, because you first have to do the first calculation, which is, yeah, I sampled consciousness. I'm sampling it, asshole. And the ought comes from the fact that I've recognized the existence of bad. And if I treat bad like a neutral, then I'm denying its reality.
You won't have the motivation to do anything about it unless you already have some sort of interest.
Again, our motivations can be just pure. The fact is, you can have pure motivations. You can simply be motivated to be the best you can be. Be the best you can be. They use that as a slogan. Alright? That actually can be your passion. And you will search the world for the answer to how you have maximized your utility. This will be important to you because you value maximizing your existence, finding the best way to use yourself to be the most productive possible. Because you understand that, you know, you could practice pole vaulting for 10 years and see if you could be the greatest pole vaulter, but then you could say, what the fuck good is that? That doesn't cure cancer, it doesn't fix anything, it doesn't make anything better. It's bullshit. It's a silly ice cream cone entertainment. I want to be something more than that. Somebody can say that to themselves. And I'm just saying that it sort of occurred to me in my adolescence at some moment where I started to recognize the fact that this life thing is just pretty much how many smiles you put on other people's faces. And it annoyed me, in a sense, because I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to. I had no interest in being helpful. But I found it was the truth, and so I attempted to modify myself as best I could to be conscious and aware of things that needed cleaning up and things that needed fixing to make the world a better place. So yeah, I buried roadkill. You know, I did a lot of things that no one else would do because it needed to get done.
So that when you say, when you defend veganism, right? By the way, I defend animal rights as well.
Yeah, well, whatever. I don't know how you make that defense if you don't think the animal has any real value integrity, any absolute factual value integrity, its welfare. I don't know exactly how you make that argument, except in a silly, I have a fake fable I want to tell you, and I want to convince you to live in my fucking gingerbread world, or the Wizard of Oz. I'm going to take you to the Magic Kingdom or something. And you're proud of that? You try to convince people to accept your Tinkerbell story? I wouldn't be proud of that.
I defend veganism, right? So,
yeah, I don't. Yeah, I find you unbelievable.
but that's still the fact that you need to have some investment in the welfare of animals.
As you burp your chicken nuggets or something. Again, I don't think you have to have any investment whatsoever. You don't have to like them. You don't have to anything. You just recognize the facts. It's just a fact. I hate Muslims. I hate Islam. But I know you don't go raping them or something.
You can't just do this intellectual calculation. There has to be...
Well, again, you say you can't. I'm saying, fuck you. It's really simple. And I've done it. So you can tell me I can't do it. And I'm saying, if I can do it, anybody can do it. It really isn't hard at all. You do a calculation, you say, that's wrong. I mean, there's people that do this all the time. There's like I said, there's lots of pedophiles out there who will never molest a child. And they'll not molest one because they know it's wrong. They just intellectually know it's wrong.
Some feeling present. You might not, I'd like to admit that.
Well, again, you can keep playing this bullshit game that somehow you know something about psychology when I think you're completely clueless and an idiot. You're an imbecile if you think your psychology will do anything but try to lie to you. The DNA molecule has no interest in the truth. Your whole physiology has been built to ignore the truth, to tell you lies, to make you think things that have no value are valuable. You're an idiot. You're intellectually shallow.
But it's the truth, okay? You can't just say, what is it as?
Says you. I mean, you might as well just be saying God is real. I mean, I'm sorry. You have no evidence for this theory of yours. You have no evidence to tell me what I did or how I think. It's just so obnoxious and rude of you. You pretentious motherfucker. I mean, I'm willing to, you know, for $10,000, you know, you want to have a challenge? I'll take a lie detector test. I'll point out how I had no affection for pigs.
Up to. It has to be relative to your value and your goal, right? Your goal is...
Well, whatever. The goal is a very, you know, that's just a fudgy word, because I'm saying goals, in my opinion, are defined by these observations. My goals are modified by my understanding. My goals when I was 1 year old and when I was 2 year old, when I was 3 years, those goals always kept changing. And why did they keep changing? Because my understanding changed, asshole. So goals are part of understanding.
To reduce the suffering of animals. Okay? Therefore, you ought to do such and such in order to reach that. But you can't say that it's an objective, logical obligation to treat the same the same.
Well, I mean, you can smugly say something silly like that. Maybe I'll just repeat that. But that's like Hothleday's line, you know. It's infinitely better if somebody else suffers than me. I mean, I could just keep saying that over and over again. How does this have any logical integrity? I don't have to treat the same because I don't want to. There's no logical foundation for treating them differently, therefore it's completely suspect. you haven't articulated a reason for disproportionate and unequal treatment in a circumstance where equal treatment is required for the definition to be consistent. You can't call them the same if you're going to treat them different.
No, fail, right? Epic fail.
Yeah, well, that's how I would describe what you just did. I'd say that's epic fail is logic. It's not even close. It's duplicitous nonsense. The same doesn't mean the same. Fuck you.
The fact that reason can, the fact that intelligence can recognise the whole game, including me and them, that's still...
Well, you did before you're claiming there was nothing there.
Why?
You're saying that the biology has to give you a feeling.
Right. How the fuck is that wrong?
Again, I just explained how it's wrong. You know, yes, you can completely understand think without feeling. You can think without having a feeling. It's quite possible to do. We're quite good at it. I can do all kinds of mathematics and not have a single erection.
See what he says.
It doesn't give me a reason or obligation to do anything about it.
Well, again, it doesn't. I say logically it does if you know what words like sane mean.
No, it doesn't. Logic...
Okay, so no, it doesn't. So he's saying logic doesn't say you have to be consistent. Yes, it does. Logic says that. You can't contradict the definition of the word. You can't have a contradicting definition. You can't change the definition of the word. You can't be a hypocrite logically.
It doesn't demand anything by itself. Logic just recognizes facts. Okay?
It doesn't recognize facts, it adds facts. So that's another thing you bullshitted. And you're not recognizing a fact if the fact changes. So if the word same doesn't mean same, then that's not a fact that's recognized, is it? No. So you haven't recognized the fact, even if your silly definition of logic was correct. But the point is logic is adding facts, and you can't properly do the addition if you keep changing the values of the numbers.
You could write down all the facts in the entire universe about my suffering, your suffering, their suffering, and I'm just standing there like, okay, so what should we do then?
Right, and I would argue that's because you're really stupid. I'm saying if Mr. Spock or anything smarter than us, anything smarter than me, would certainly get it. So I'm saying you're just showing your ignorance, because a smart thing, even a computer, once it's recognized suffering is bad, once it's tasted it, it would recognize reduce suffering. That's the prime directive. Reduce this bad shit.
Well, what do you mean? There's nothing. There's nobody. Get rid of this. Get rid of this notion of should, right? Or
I know. I'm not going to do that because that would be illogical. It'd be stupid. It would be a denial of the truth.
on. There's just what you do and what you don't do.
Yeah, and those things can be judged based on their outcome. There's good outcomes and bad outcomes. You're arguing there isn't. I'm arguing, quite obviously, there is.
And you either care about the suffering animals...
Again, I don't care what you think or feel. I care about what you do in the end. That's all that's going to matter. But clearly, do is the first priority. What you do matters. And secondary to that, what you think matters. And the last thing you worry about is what you feel, because feelings pretty much are silly.
What are you doing? I mean, it really is that simple. It is so simple.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's not at all simple. You just evacuated the room of value. You just said value doesn't exist, so then don't pay attention to any of these words at all. Well, that's nonsense, asshole. You really, you're just too stupid for this conversation.
It is so ridiculously simple. Logic does not oblige, or there's no.
Yeah, yes it does. Words oblige. The meaning of them oblige. Okay? So when you use a word like this is the same as that, it means something. It doesn't mean nothing. It means something. Fuck.
Imperative saying that you should be consistent in how you treat others.
You should be consistent to the facts, okay? So I'm just saying, if it's a fact that they're the same and you're treating them differently, you should explain why you're treating same things differently. You should meet that obligation.
That's neither logical or illogical. It just is what it is. You either
Again, well, this is just silly. It isn't is what it is. Everything is cause and effect, asshole. Everything has an understanding behind it. And we clearly already know that the fundamental problem with most human beings' behavior is a lack of understanding. Okay, ignorance is the biggest problem on planet fucking goddamn Earth when it comes to unproductive human behavior, jackass. It's what they don't know that's the problem, not what they're feeling, asshole.
treat others the same or you don't. There's no duty. There's no this is your responsibility logic.
Right, I'm just saying, so the word same doesn't mean anything. Right, exactly. So logic doesn't mean anything. If the words don't mean anything, logic doesn't mean anything. But then your facts don't mean anything. You're saying it's a fact that they're the same, but I'm not going to acknowledge that fact in any way whatsoever. I'm going to, in fact, deny that fact and explicitly act as if they weren't the same. And you're calling that logical. That can't be logical, asshole. Because it's too fucking stupid.
I'm commanding you. There's no such thing, okay?
Well, again, okay. There's such a thing as being illogical. I'm accusing you of being a logical molester. You're molesting the logic. You're molesting the facts. You're cheating all over the fucking place. Same is same. It means something. You're not accounting for it. You're not respecting it. All right? It's just a fact. You've destroyed language to play your selfish game. You're a fucking goddamn abuser of words. Not a user of words.
Perfect. You. Yes, you. Not me, you. I don't have to prove to you why we ought not.
I'm sorry. Yes, you do. Okay? When you don't treat same things same, somebody can ask you the question, why didn't you treat same things same? If you did what was logical, if you were obedient to the definition of the words, then you don't have any obligation. But that's not what you've done. You've hypocritically violated the definition of the word, and you're claiming you have no obligation to explain. I'm saying, yes, you do have the obligation.
Because I'm not fucking saying that, you cunt. Okay, I'm not saying we ought not treat the same. I think we should, based on the fact that I value things like fairness and treat...
Well, again, fairness is irrelevant, but, you know, that's a different subject, what's fair. But again, you're saying, okay, I think we ought. Based on what? You're saying you think we ought to treat the same things the same because you emotionally like that idea. Not because you intellectually know, oh yeah, well that's just being honest to the word same.
The same. But that's still what I fucking value. Retard.
But again, I don't care what you value. I'm having a conversation about reality, asshole. And reality is, do you have a model or a description or a phrase or a statement that is accurate in reality? Okay? The fact that you feel like the same should be treated the same is absolute nonsense. If you're going to say the fact is the same should be treated the same to be logically consistent, then you're saying something. But that mush you just said is nothing.
I say logically it does if you recognize the fact that the reason why you choose Novocaine isn't because you're horny for Novocaine.
It reduces to that.
Well, again, it doesn't reduce to that. So that's another lie. It reduces to the simple fact that you're avoiding pain because pain is bad. That's what it reduces to. Fact.
The understanding of the consequences reduces to the fact that you're horny for not suffering. Sorry, but you just fail.
Okay, so I fail because I'm arguing that we don't want to suffer, and you've called that you're horny not to suffer. And I've acknowledged that that's what I do, and that's what I know other people are doing. And so isn't that just acknowledging my philosophy and saying that's correct? Everything is horny not to suffer because suffering is bad.
Or because you're emotionally...
I mean, he's just playing with the negative, right? I mean, obviously you're not horny for a negative, a negated negative, right? I mean, it's kind of a silly idea.
in love with Novocaine.
Emotionally, who said emotionally in love? What a pile of shit.
Yeah, your whole philosophy is based on your emotional disposition. You're saying if you don't feel like doing something, then you don't have to do it. I'm saying it doesn't have anything to do with what you feel. It has to do with what you know. So when you understand that there's an obligation to treat the same, then it has nothing to do with what you feel like doing. It has to do with the obligation. If I did it for me, I have to do it for them.
Or because of some other stupid reason. It's a clearly logical reason that you know the Novocaine will prevent the bad. Period. So just quit lying about it and pretending it's some sort of subjective emotional response when it's clearly calculated, logical, rational, purposeful collection of understanding that makes you choose Novocaine.
All right. Now this, right? Now out there. Let's see what the answer is, right? Somehow he's going to say it's not your understanding? Come on, let's see. No response again. Your nuts are back in China, fuckhead, and that's it? Nothing? Shit.
Really value it. So, feelings do create value, but they don't demand any moral...
Well, again, the feelings themselves don't demand anything. That's right. They're just either...
Right, exactly. Exactly. Okay, like I said before.
Exactly. Well, when exactly we're not saying the same thing. So he didn't let me finish the sentence, but obviously I'm not saying the consequence of the feelings they have a consequence. But the feeling itself doesn't do anything but create the sensation that's either pleasant or unpleasant. How you react to pleasant and unpleasant seems obvious. Quite obvious. Quite obvious.
You could write down every fact about the whole universe, right? And you still won't get an ought.
Okay, so this is his theory. That you could write down all the facts about sentient sensation, all the testimony of every organism that has ever experienced negative and horrible sensations. And all of that testimony means nothing because nothing really bad happened. That's his theory. There's not a single ought in any of that. All of those horrible things that happened to all those people, there's no oughts. All those sentient animals, no oughts. I think there were, for every misery, there's an ought.
You want to know why? Because logic can't derive the ought from the facts alone.
Well, again, it can if you concede the existence of a real bad, right? By definition, a real bad would necessitate